He had just finished addressing a global tech summit when his assistant rushed in, pale-faced. "There's a woman downstairs," she whispered. She says the twins are yours." He blinked. "What twins?" "She said she worked for you. 8 years ago. In your mansion." His world stilled. The press clapped. The cameras flashed. But inside, his mind spun violently, stuck in a memory he had buried, or maybe forgotten entirely. A night. A storm. A girl with tear-stained cheeks. He never knew her name. 8 years ago, the rain hadn't stopped for 3 days. Thunder roared above the hills of Greenwood Estate, where the largest mansion in the city stood like a palace carved from ice and steel. Inside that mansion lived Ethan Cole, the youngest tech billionaire in the country. He built Cole Tech from scratch, an AI-driven empire now worth billions. To the world, he was a genius. Untouchable. Cold. A man too sharp for emotions. To the girl scrubbing the marble floors of his hallway, he was just another boss. Anika, just 21, had come to the city from her village after her mother died. She needed money. Any money. So when she got the house help job at Cole Mansion through a shady agency, she didn't ask questions. The rules were simple. No talking. No eye contact. No mistakes. But that night, the storm outside was so loud she didn't hear him walk into the kitchen. She was crying, her hands red from scrubbing. He stood there, watching, saying nothing. Then he came closer. "You're bleeding," he said. She flinched. She wasn't allowed to talk to him. But he knelt beside her. He took her hands, wrapped them in a clean towel. "I didn't mean to cry," she whispered. He looked at her for a long time. "What's your name?" "Anika." He didn't say anything else. Not then. But later that night, when the power went out and most of the staff had gone home due to the storm, she stayed behind. So did he. She remembered every second. The quiet way he touched her. The way he looked at her like he was trying to forget something. Or someone. There were no words. No promises. By morning, he was gone. And a week later, so was she. No one asked. No one looked for her. She kept the secret as it grew inside her belly. And when the doctors said it was twins, she cried, not because she was scared, but because she had no idea how she would feed them. Or what to tell them when they asked about their father. Now, 8 years later, the secret was too big to carry alone. One of the twins, Levi, was sick. The kind of sick that needed blood. And only one man in the whole city might be a match. The hospital smelled like fear. Anika sat beside Levi's bed, her hands trembling as she brushed his sweaty curls back. He was barely awake. His twin, Leah, stood near the window, hugging her stuffed rabbit tightly. The doctor's words kept repeating in her head. "He needs a donor. Immediate transfusion. A rare blood type. AB negative. You said you're not a match, and neither is his sister. Do you know who the father is?" Anika had lied. Said she didn't. But the truth was clawing at her throat. She had spent 8 years dodging it. Pretending that night was just a memory. Pretending Ethan Cole didn't exist beyond the screens of tech news and magazine covers. But now her son's life depended on the man she had tried so hard to forget. She looked at Levi, who was growing paler by the minute. She couldn't pretend anymore. The front of Cole Tech Tower was guarded like a fortress. Reporters. Cameras. Security with earpieces and sunglasses. No one just walked in. Especially not a woman in a cheap jacket with holes in her shoes and a daughter clutching her hand. But Anika walked anyway. "I need to speak to Mr. Cole," she told the front desk, her voice barely steady. The receptionist smiled politely. "Do you have an appointment?" "No," she said. "But it's urgent." "I'm sorry, Mr. Cole doesn't take walk-ins." "Tell him I'm Anika," she said. "I worked at his mansion 8 years ago. I have his children." The receptionist froze. Her hand slowly dropped from the keyboard. A few awkward seconds passed. Then the woman picked up the phone. Whispered something. Her face went from smug to pale. Two men in suits came down almost instantly. Not security, assistants. "Come with us," one of them said. Anika followed them through a private elevator that led to the top floor. She could barely breathe. Her daughter squeezed her fingers tighter, sensing the storm inside her mother. The office they walked into was made of glass and steel, cold and expensive looking. In the center was a sleek desk, and behind it stood Ethan Cole, dressed in black, eyes sharp as ever. He looked at her like she was a ghost. "Anika," he said quietly, "you're alive." She didn't know what to say to that. So she said what mattered most. "I didn't come here to ruin your life. I need your help. Our son, Levi, is dying. He needs your blood." Ethan blinked, then laughed. But it wasn't a funny laugh, it was dry, bitter, and full of disbelief. "Son," he said slowly. "I have a son." She nodded. "And a daughter. Twins." Silence. Then Ethan's face changed. From disbelief to something she hadn't seen on him before, fear. "You kept this from me for 8 years, he said, voice shaking. "Why?" "Because I didn't think you'd care. Because I was scared. You didn't even remember my name." Ethan turned to the large windows behind him. For a long moment, he said nothing. Then he turned back. His eyes were glassy. "Let's go to the hospital," he said quietly. "Now." The black SUV pulled up in front of Greenwood City Hospital in less than 10 minutes. Ethan had made one call, and traffic moved like magic. It was the kind of power only billionaires had. But right now, all of that power meant nothing to him. Because he was about to face a truth that could not be undone. He didn't speak much during the ride. He sat stiffly beside Anika, occasionally glancing at the little girl asleep on her lap. Leah. She looked just like him. Same eyebrows. Same nose. Same stubborn chin. He remembered nothing from that night 8 years ago. At least, not clearly. He had been in a dark place back then. His parents had just died in a plane crash, and he was drinking more than sleeping. The only memory he had was the face of a crying girl in the kitchen. It was her. Anika. The hospital doors slid open as the three of them rushed in. The doctor on duty had been warned. They took Ethan's blood immediately. "I'll run a cross-match test," the nurse said. "We'll know within 30 minutes. Ethan nodded. His hands were in fists. He'd faced investors, presidents, and hackers. But nothing had shaken him like the sight of that boy, Levi, hooked up to wires, chest rising slow and shallow. He couldn't even look at him for long. "You named him Levi?" Ethan asked finally, his voice low. Anika nodded. "He likes robots and math. He's a lot like you." Ethan blinked. "I didn't even know he existed." Anika looked away. "I didn't expect you to care. I didn't want anything from you. But now, I had no choice." Leah stirred beside her and looked up at Ethan. "Are you the man on Mommy's phone?" Ethan was caught off guard. "What?" Leah nodded seriously. "She looks at your pictures sometimes. But she always deletes them after." Anika's face turned red. Ethan's heart clenched. Before he could say anything, the nurse returned. Her eyes were wide, and she looked between them nervously. "The match is confirmed," she said. "Mr. Cole, you are the boy's biological father." Anika gasped, even though she already knew. Ethan said nothing. He stared at the nurse like she had just announced the world was ending. The nurse added, "The transfusion will begin now. Please come with me." Ethan walked slowly, like someone underwater. They led him into the small blood donation room, where he sat and watched the needle go in. Red life poured into the tubes, and all he could do was stare. When it was over, they took his blood to Levi's room. And Ethan followed, as if in a trance. Inside, Levi was still unconscious. A nurse hung the blood bag carefully. As it began to drip into the boy's veins, Ethan felt something strange in his chest. He stepped closer, touched the boy's hand. Levi's fingers twitched. And just like that, Ethan Cole, the man the world called a genius, a machine, a legend, felt something break wide open inside him. Tears filled his eyes before he could stop them. He turned to Anika, voice raw. "I missed 8 years of this." She nodded, slowly. But just as he opened his mouth to say something else, the door swung open, and in walked a woman he hadn't seen in a long time. Her name was Irene, and she was the last person Anika ever wanted to see. The air in the hospital room changed the moment Irene walked in. Tall, elegant, and dressed like she'd just stepped off the cover of a luxury magazine, Irene Jameson didn't belong in a place where machines beeped and lives hung in balance. She was the kind of woman who threw charity galas but never stayed to talk to the sick. The kind who smiled with her lips but not her eyes. Anika stiffened immediately. She knew Irene. Not personally, but through whispers. She had once been engaged to Ethan. And she had once accused a housemaid, Anika's friend, of theft. The girl had disappeared after that. Fired. Blacklisted. No one saw her again. Now here Irene stood, eyes locked on Anika. "I came as soon as I heard," she said, walking straight to Ethan, ignoring Anika completely. "Is the boy okay?" Ethan glanced at her, then at Anika. "What are you doing here, Irene?" "I saw the emergency alert from your assistant. Your blood was needed urgently. I thought you were hurt." Anika took Leah's hand and moved toward the far side of the room. Irene's eyes finally turned to them. Her gaze narrowed slightly when she saw the child. "And who is this?" she asked. Ethan didn't answer. So Anika did. "His daughter." Irene's smile froze. "Excuse me." "I'm their mother," Anika said clearly. "Levi and Leah are Ethan's children." A silence dropped in the room like a thunderclap. Irene turned to Ethan, expecting him to laugh. To deny it. To say it was a mistake. But he didn't. Instead, Ethan nodded. "It's true." Irene blinked. "This is absurd. You don't even know her." Ethan's voice was calm. "She worked for me. 8 years ago. I didn't know either. Not until today." Irene's eyes flared. "And you believe her? Just like that?" Anika clenched her fists, but Ethan beat her to it. "I saw the results," he said. "I saw the kids. I know." Irene stepped closer to him, lowering her voice. "Ethan, do you know what this could do to your name? Your company? You were supposed to be careful." "This isn't about my image," he snapped. "It's about my children." "They'll ruin you," she hissed. "This girl, she's a scam. This is exactly why we had rules in place. You don't sleep with the staff." Ethan's jaw tightened. "Leave, Irene." "What?" "I said leave. You're not needed here." Irene glared at Anika one more time, her eyes full of silent warnings. Then she turned on her heel and walked out, her heels clicking like gunshots on the hospital tiles. Anika sat down slowly, clutching Leah tighter. Ethan sat next to her. Neither spoke for a few moments. Then he said, "I'm sorry about her." Anika gave a small shrug. "She's not the first person to talk to me like that." He looked at her, eyes full of something she couldn't read. "I should have known," he said quietly. "I should have remembered. I should have looked for you." Anika swallowed hard. "But you didn't." "I want to make it right." She laughed bitterly. "You can't fix 8 years in one night, Ethan." "I know," he said. "But I can start." Just then, the monitor near Levi let out a different sound. The nurse rushed in. "He's stabilizing." The blood worked. Anika covered her mouth with her hands as tears rolled down. Ethan stood frozen, staring at the child whose veins now carried his blood. Leah tugged his sleeve gently. "Are you going to be our dad now?" she asked, her voice soft. Ethan knelt slowly beside her, tears threatening again. "I don't know how to be one," he said honestly. "But I want to try." Ethan barely slept that night. He had stayed at the hospital long after Anika and the twins had fallen asleep. Sitting in the hallway, back against the cold wall, he watched nurses go in and out, checking Levi's vitals. Every time the machine beeped, his heart jumped. He wasn't sure how to feel. For someone who lived his entire life in control, calculating moves, predicting risks, this was a storm he hadn't seen coming. He was a father. 2 twins. And the woman he had fathered them with was the one he couldn't even remember properly until today. The guilt weighed on him like bricks. By morning, his phone began to buzz. Dozens of calls. Emails. News alerts. Breaking. Tech billionaire Ethan Cole identified as father of secret twins with ex-house help. He didn't need to guess who leaked it. Irene. His assistant called seconds later. Ethan, the press is everywhere. Outside Cole Tech. Outside the hospital. Even your mansion's got reporters at the gate. I don't care about that right now, he said sharply. Just make sure security is tight around the hospital. I don't want the kids exposed. He hung up. Inside the room, Anika sat with Levi, spoon-feeding him warm porridge. His color had returned. He looked up at her and asked weakly, "Who was the man that gave me blood?" Anika paused. That was Ethan. He's your dad." Levi blinked. "I have a dad." She nodded slowly. "Yes." He looked down, silent for a few seconds. "Does he want us?" Anika's throat tightened. "I think he's trying." Before she could say more, Ethan pushed open the door, holding 2 boxes of breakfast and Leah's favorite pink stuffed rabbit, one that had gotten lost last night in the rush. "I found this," he said, handing it to Leah, who squealed and hugged his legs without warning. Ethan froze, then slowly bent and hugged her back. "I got breakfast," he added, setting the boxes down. Anika watched him carefully. He was trying, just like she said. But there was something behind his eyes. Something dark. Like a storm was coming. "Irene leaked the story," he said bluntly, not hiding it from the kids. "It's everywhere now." Anika sighed. "Of course she did. I can handle the press. But I need you to prepare for what's coming. People will dig into your past. They'll twist everything." She nodded. "I've lived through worse." He looked at her. "Not like this." She met his eyes. "You think I can't handle it?" "I'm saying I'll handle it with you." That caught her off guard. But before she could reply, a soft knock came at the door. A short woman with silver bracelets stepped in. Anika's eyes widened. "Auntie Moji," she said in shock. The older woman smiled warmly. She was dressed in long flowing ankara, her earrings clinking gently as she walked in. "I saw the news," she said, ignoring Ethan completely. "I came to see the children." Leah ran to her with a big smile. "Grandma." Anika whispered, "I didn't think you'd ever come." "I stayed away because I thought you wanted me to," Auntie Moji said, hugging Leah tightly. "But I always watched from afar." Ethan stood awkwardly. "I'm Ethan Cole." "I know who you are," Auntie Moji said without shaking his hand. "You're the storm my niece survived." Ethan stiffened. Anika touched her aunt's arm. "Please." Auntie Moji's voice softened slightly. "You may be their father now. But you don't get forgiveness just because you gave blood. You'll have to earn your place. We're not impressed by money here." Ethan nodded slowly. "I wouldn't expect you to be." There was a long silence. Then Auntie Moji said something that made both Anika and Ethan freeze. "The twins carry more than just your blood, Ethan. They carry an old story. One that started long before you were born." Anika frowned. "What do you mean?" Auntie Moji looked out the window, her voice low. "They were born under the same moon your grandmother once feared. That kind of thing doesn't happen by accident." Auntie Moji's words hung in the air like a heavy fog. "The same moon your grandmother feared," Anika repeated quietly. Ethan looked at her, puzzled. Anika's grandmother had always been a quiet woman with deep, knowing eyes. She'd often whispered strange stories about the past, about curses and blessings carried through bloodlines, but Anika had never paid much attention. Until now. Auntie Moji settled into a chair, her gaze serious. "In our family, there's a story," she began. A long time ago, a child was born on a night when the blood moon was full. The elders said that child would carry both great power and great danger. The power to change lives, and the danger of betrayal from those closest. Anika swallowed. You think the twins are connected to that story? Auntie Moji nodded. Yes. It's not just a coincidence. The timing, the birth, their struggles, everything ties to an old prophecy. Ethan frowned. A prophecy? This sounds like folklore. It's folklore for those who don't understand, Auntie Moji said softly. For us, it's real. Your bloodline, the Cole family, has always been marked by shadows and light. Anika looked at Ethan, seeing something new in his eyes, a mixture of disbelief and fascination. You're saying Levi and Leah might be part of something bigger? Yes, Auntie Moji said. And that is why you need to protect them. Not just from the world, but from forces you don't yet see. Ethan's mind raced. He'd fought real battles, corporate takeovers, cyber wars, but this was a different kind of fight. One that involved family secrets and ancient warnings. Anika reached out and took Auntie Moji's hand. What do we do? The older woman smiled faintly. First, we watch. Then, we prepare. Later that day, Ethan and Anika sat together in a quiet hospital room, Leah asleep between them and Levi resting steadily. Ethan looked tired but more alive than Anika had ever seen him. I don't know what to make of all this, he admitted. The prophecy. The blood moon. But I know one thing, I want to be there for them. Anika nodded. It won't be easy. There will be people who want to use the twins, or hurt them. He took a deep breath. Then we make sure they're safe. No matter what. She looked at him, a flicker of hope shining through the exhaustion. Maybe this is the start of something new. Ethan smiled for the first time in days. Yeah. A new beginning. The calm after Auntie Moji's visit was fragile. It was the kind of quiet that feels heavy, like a storm waiting to break. Ethan stayed close to the twins and Anika, but his mind was miles away, chasing memories he didn't want to face. He decided to dig deeper into the past. Not just the recent years but long before that. Maybe understanding the history would help him protect his children. That evening, he returned to his mansion alone. The house was huge and empty, the silence echoing off marble floors and glass walls. It felt cold, even with all the luxury. His assistant, Mark, was waiting. Sir, I pulled up records on Anika's background like you asked, Mark said, handing over a folder. There's nothing suspicious, but there are some gaps. Some places she lived that don't show up in public records. Ethan frowned. I want everything. Every detail. Mark nodded. Already on it. But you should know, some of those gaps are in areas known for less savory activities. Ethan's stomach tightened. I want to protect my kids. That's all that matters. Mark hesitated. There's also something else. I found a name connected to Anika's past, someone called Kimi. She was close to Anika, but disappeared years ago under strange circumstances. Ethan rubbed his temples. Find her. Now. Meanwhile, in a small, dusty neighborhood far from the city's gleaming towers, Anika was dealing with her own ghosts. Her phone buzzed. It was a message from an unknown number. You can't hide forever, Anika. The past always catches up. Her hands shook as she deleted it. She knew who sent it. Kimi. Her childhood friend. The one who vanished without a trace. Back at the mansion, Ethan sat alone in his study, staring at old photos he found in a box Anika had accidentally left behind at the hospital. There were pictures of the twins as babies, with a man who wasn't him. A man with cold eyes and a hard smile. Ethan's heart pounded. Was there more to the story? Was he truly the only father? Or was there a deeper betrayal? The room seemed to close in on him as he whispered, "What did I miss?" Anika sat on the edge of her bed, phone clutched tightly in her hand. Her heart raced. The message from Kimi had shaken her more than she wanted to admit. You can't hide forever, Anika. The past always catches up. Her thoughts went back years, to a time when she and Kimi were inseparable, two girls dreaming of a better life, escaping the harsh streets. But then Kimi disappeared suddenly. No one knew where she went. No one asked. Now, the message felt like a cold shadow creeping over everything. She stared at the ceiling, haunted by memories. The next morning, Ethan was already in his office, hands steepled, staring at his laptop. Mark had sent over some new information. Kimi Ola deal, Ethan read aloud. She was involved with a group connected to some serious crimes, smuggling, scams, even blackmail. Mark's voice was serious over the speakerphone. I don't think she's just a ghost from the past, sir. She might be dangerous. Ethan's stomach twisted. Why would she reach out to Anika now? Mark hesitated. Maybe she knows something. Or maybe she wants something. Ethan looked out the window, the city glittering beneath the morning sun. Then we need to find her before she finds us. That evening, Anika's phone buzzed again. Another message. Meet me tonight. Alone. Or everyone you love will pay. Anika's hands trembled as she showed the message to Ethan. He frowned, protective anger boiling beneath his calm exterior. No way you're going alone. She shook her head. This is my past, Ethan. If Kimi wants answers, I have to face her. Ethan looked at her, torn between letting her fight her battles and protecting the family they were just starting to build. Promise me you'll be careful. I will. That night, Anika walked through the empty streets toward the meeting place, a rundown cafe at the edge of town. Her heart pounded louder than the footsteps echoing behind her. When she reached the door, it creaked open, and a shadow stepped inside. Kimi. The woman's face was hard, eyes cold. You didn't expect me to be alive, did you? Anika swallowed. Why now? Why reach out after all these years? Kimi smiled, but it wasn't warm. Because the past is catching up, and you're in deeper than you realize. The cafe was dim, its walls stained with years of smoke and neglect. The smell of stale coffee and something else, fear, hung heavy in the air. Anika sat across from Kimi, whose eyes never left her. The tension between them was thick, like a rope pulled tight, ready to snap. So, Kimi began, her voice low and steady, you finally stepped into the light. Did you think you could hide forever? Anika's fingers trembled on the table. I didn't hide. I survived. You disappeared without a word. Left me alone. Kimi laughed, but it wasn't joyful. I had to disappear. They were after me, people who don't like loose ends. You're lucky you never got caught up. Anika's heart skipped. Who? Who was after you? Kimi leaned in. The same people who want your twins now. They know who they are. They want to control their power. Anika's breath hitched. Control? What power? Kimi's eyes flashed. Don't act like you don't know. Your family, Ethan's bloodline, there's a legacy tied to those kids. A legacy some would kill for. Anika swallowed hard, the weight of Kimi's words crushing her. Why tell me this now? Because they found me. And soon, they'll find you. They'll come for your children. Silence fell between them. Anika whispered, how do we stop them? Kimi shook her head. You don't. Not without help. And that help comes with a price. Back at the mansion, Ethan paced, phone pressed to his ear. Mark's voice was tense. Sir, there's something else. About Anika's past, about those photos you found. That man you saw? His name is David Nwosu. He's connected to a criminal syndicate. Ethan's grip tightened on the phone. I want everything on him. Now. Understood, sir. That night, Anika returned home, eyes heavy with dread. Ethan met her at the door. What did she say? He asked gently. Anika's voice cracked. They're coming for the twins. For us. Ethan pulled her close. Then we fight. Together. As they stood in the quiet house, the shadows outside seemed to grow longer. The real battle was only just beginning. The days after Anika's meeting with Kimi felt like walking through a storm without shelter. Every sound, every shadow seemed to hide a threat. Ethan tightened security around the house. Guards were doubled, cameras installed everywhere, and no one got in without his say. But the tension inside the walls was worse than any danger outside. Anika's phone buzzed again, another message from Kimi. Trust no one. Not even those closest. Anika's heart sank. Who could she trust? One evening, as Ethan was putting the twins to bed, his phone rang. It was Mark. Sir, something just happened at the office. We found a bug in the system. Someone's spying on us. Ethan's jaw clenched. How bad? Deep. They've been inside our networks for weeks. Ethan's mind raced. Whoever was after the twins was already inside his company, watching. He hung up and looked at Anika. We're under siege. This is bigger than just us. Anika nodded, tears threatening to spill. But we won't let them win. The next day, Ethan faced the press. He held a press conference announcing the birth of his twins, and his commitment to protect them no matter what. But behind the smiles and cameras, the danger was real. That night, a dark figure moved outside the mansion's gates. A whisper in the wind. A shadow disappearing into the night. Ethan stared out the window, his heart pounding. The fight for his family had just begun. The tension inside the mansion was unbearable. Ethan barely slept. Every creak, every shadow, felt like a threat. Anika tried to stay strong for the twins, but she too was breaking.